When planning an urban community, it is important to remember that you aren't just planning for yourself. You have to consider the people who live there, their area, their livelihood, and their relationship with each other. If they're gonna be the ones to live in something you will make, you'll have to adjust your project to fit their routines. In a way, you have to look at it from their point of view and really get to know the people in order to find something that can help them. We spend numerous days walking around our site in order to establish a connection with the people and environment. Somehow we became one with the site and one with the people. This is our experience in Krus.
So, based on the problems of Krus, we wanted to have a development basically to cater to the higher demographic of the place. Since the higher demographic of the place is mostly students and seniors, we want to have academics and leisure to be one of our priorities.
Going to Ligas was fun yet difficult because we don't know anything about the place. But when we went there, um, it took time because we still have to find where it is. But became easier when we saw some signs na we're near Ligas na and there's an arc that shows the Ligas. The community in Ligas, it's really congested and crowded, but people were really nice. So during the morning, it wasn't scary kasi we went there some morning and when we were there, it wasn't that scary going around inside Crucinaga.
Yep, this is the gym na eh. No. Diyan lang yung tagusan niya eh.
Walking around Crucinagas, people were looking because they really know that you're not from there. So people around Crucinagas really know people around their area. So we went there, like people were really looking, kids were really talking to us, and then, but they were nice, like compared to the other places I visited. Crucinagas was a friendly community.
So the streets in Cruz were very narrow and they were very congested. And part of the reason of this was because it was used for many purposes, such as food stalls, tricycle parking, and pedestrian crossing.
In Cruz there is a plaza where everything converges. So you have the church, the town hall, the market, and this is a way for people to navigate from one point to another so they won't get lost. This is like the main area where people can gather to do other sorts of activities. The Plaza of Cruz Naligas also serves as its main navigational point. This is where the flow of activities can merge before separating again.
But the people in Cruz are very diverse, from their social classes to their ages, and even to the amount of activities that they do. So, because of this diversity, there are different activity modes that pop up randomly. For a visitor, it can cause a lot of confusion and like disorientation. But then for them, they're very comfortable and they know their way around in their community.
So, since before we mentioned that the majority of the demographic was minors and seniors, the site or the KNL site needs more recreational and even academic facilities. And also, we had an experience when we went on a site visit. We were walking in an alleyway, and there was a woman who was being pushed in a wheelchair. Na it was hard for them because the place wasn't really PWD friendly. So we want to integrate the accessibility law and accessibility facilities in the site so that um, all people can go around freely. So we also had three adorable kids who were um, talking to us, well, actually laughing with us, and they wanted to take us to the playground, and their parents just let them go around because we were asking them, oh, pwede ba kayo ganito kalayo? And then they were saying, oo, kasi papunta naman sila sa park. And then we were surprised that the parents trusted the site enough to let their kids roam around. So I guess the people in the site have confidence that their place, their vicinity is secure, and they trust the residents that are in it.
So, may tatlong batang nag-guide sa amin from CP Garcia all the way to Maginhawa. Since nandun yung nakalocate yung playground na malaki. Then, yung mga bata, parang di nila need ng permission from their parents and they just went with us all the way and directed us from the inside all the way to the playground.
So our group proposes to create more nodes and landmarks. Moreover, adding open spaces and PWD friendly pathways.
So there's this part in our side that we like to dub the provincial side. There are a lot of houses and settlements that have makeshift construction materials. In these houses and settlements, there are a lot of integrated livestock, and they're mostly low cost, like chicken coos. And to go to this provincial path, you have to pass through a muddy roadway, and it's very inconvenient for foot travelers and for cars.
Our site is UP property, which means that UP has direct networks to KNL and our site. A lot of people live in Krus and Ligas area, so there's a jeepney service that goes around the area. Like I've said earlier, since UP owns the site, UP should benefit from our project. Our plan is to integrate the orgs and the curriculum to the pet project. So our plan is to tap on to the orgs because they have volunteers that can help us. We also plan to incorporate the project to the curriculum of the schools like UP Diliman, Ateneo de Manila, and Miriam College because the following departments can cater to the different sectors that we have for the project. For example, for the agricultural part, the students from the engineering and the science departments can help out, while the business and economic courses can help out with the commercial part of the project.
At the beginning of the project, Sir Gino told us to really analyze the site. So we had to take at least 1,000 photos of the site and experience the site morning, afternoon, and night, and throughout the whole week to see when it was busy, when it was not as busy, when it was crowded, and so on. So when we started, we were thinking, since our land was already agriculturally inclined, so it was an agricultural land. He told us we wanted to use that to we wanted to integrate that to our new to our proposed community. So saving the agricultural land while proposing maybe a bit more of a commercial part of it. But from there, there was a lot of considerations, and we consulted a lot with Sir. And it turns out that maybe the agri-commercial thing that we are proposing it will still work, but there might be something better that we can do. So from there, we started to go towards the path of a more academic-based system where we still have organic markets, agriculture, mixed with more consideration towards learning and job opportunities. The criticisms we received from our classmates was also having to do with the agri-commercial part of our project that we proposed earlier on. And this was because they didn't see if that the urban farming thing was really original, because it's already done in other parts, and then if it would work out in Quezon City or in Krus Ligas area, if it would appeal to the people, and if it would also create enough job opportunities besides farming.
Since our site and the surrounding communities around it is a very diverse community, we want to incorporate urban equity. Well, urban equity is more about quality around the area, where most people would be converging into one place and making it as one. So they have this framework that involves challenges within the area and having deliverables and outcomes. So we have this bunch of case studies, and we want to incorporate in our site. So first is the farming kindergarten, and this is more about learning the craft. Then in Sky Greens, it's more of applying what we've learned from the case studies, like the vertical sky gardens, vertical farms. And then the farmery is more of selling what we were able to produce from the Sky Greens. And Sun Cow is more of it's the integration of all three and an output of what we really want to do. So the whole project is more of learn, create, and benefit.
So, nag-search kami ng mga case studies about sa agriculture. Then, nakita namin yung growing home, city harvest, and added value farm, etc. So, sa mga case studies na yun, yung yung agriculture nila, hindi lang to-target for residents tsaka neighborhoods. Nagta-target din sila for youths. Then, also yung mga formerly incarcerated, homeless, mga drug addicts, etc.
So we decided to incorporate different city theories into our project. So we have first the garden city theory. The garden city theory is a distinct city which houses agricultural sectors as well as the urban sectors. It is designed for health, life, and industry. So the main point of the garden city theory is interconnection, interaction, and a rich social life. The garden city theory is separated into two categories. So you have the city life and the country. The country houses all the agricultural needs of the district, while the city caters to the more commercial places. Next, we have the satellite city theory. This one caters to more of job opportunities for the people. So basically, you have a main city that branches out into different other sectors that are independent. Each one is independent, but they still connect with the main city. The goal of this city theory is to evacuate excess population in the main city and distribute them where they can work and live. At the same time, it won't cut off the connection with the main city.
So this is the road network we're proposing to develop in Cruz na Ligas. These networks will create a better connection between Cruz na Ligas, the development, and the vicinity around the site. Then these are the road networks we're proposing for the mobility of the development. These roads will connect our proposed community to the different amenities and services within it. These roads will also have sidewalks along it. So the road networks we created within our development and Cruz na Ligas will connect to the major roads outside our site. So these roads include CP Garcia, Maginhawa, and Purok Aguinaldo. So for our agriculture, we have 4 areas for it. And all these 4 areas will have vertical farming, and there will be organic markets integrated within them at the ground floor. And these markets at the ground floor will have produce from the vertical farms.
We wanted to integrate green spaces in Cruz na Ligas because there are not a lot of them in the vicinity. This is also to create a sense of refreshment from the urban density. We also wanted to create open green spaces in our development that can be used for recreational activities, evacuation areas, parks, and even for future expansion. These open spaces will also reduce the air pollution in the area. The positive psychological effect of seeing plants in open green spaces will also benefit the majority of our demographic, which are minors and seniors. The marketplace along P. Francisco Street will be part of our development. We plan to upgrade their existing market facilities. Like the integrated markets below the vertical farms, these markets will sell organic produce. We didn't want to move the market away from its existing place because we didn't want to disrupt the flow and work of people in Cruz na Ligas. It also serves as another entry point to the development. Academic plazas will be the focus of our development. Since it will be the learning industry, these academic plazas will cater to the different related courses from UP, Ateneo, and Miriam in application and practicum. Engineering buildings are also provided for industrial machines that are needed in practice. These academic plazas will be in close proximity to residential areas for the convenience of trainees. Residential areas will be provided for relocation of informal settlers, affordable housing, and for dormitories for the trainees. These residential areas will be near the academic plazas and recreational areas to be accessible to the users.
So for our police station, fire station, and medical center, we spread it out amongst our site. So in KNL, these services are put in the land of the informal settlers since we relocated them already in our site. And in terms of our new development, we spread out the services so that they'll be able to be accessed by the people in the area.
Parking spaces are also provided in the development and also in Cruz na Ligas. The parking in Cruz na Ligas is actually a construction site, so we plan to convert it into a parking area. Terminals are also provided in Cruz na Ligas and also in the development so that people can get around the development with our planned e-jeeps and other transportation modes.
For our recreational areas, we place them near residential areas so that they have easy access to activities. And for these, we have activities for elderly, adults, youth, and kids. And usually for the younger generations, their activities are more hardcore, such as soccer and swimming, while the elderly have more laid back activities such as yoga and tai chi. So our commercial areas are located near our main road. So that would be CP Garcia and Maginhawa. And these commercial areas sell retail and they're also for small businesses. So our restaurants are located near our agricultural areas. And these restaurants are mainly focusing on integrating our organic produce from our vertical farms. So our second variation is very similar to our first variation in terms of space programming. So the road networks are very similar to the first as well. The only difference mostly is that there are not as much agricultural plazas and not as much open green spaces as the first variation.
The academic plazas in this map variation occupies a larger continuous area in the site. This is to give students a more focused work environment without having to transfer from one place to another. The engineering buildings, like in the previous variation, will be surrounded by the academic plaza to muffle the sounds made by the machinery, so as to not disturb the residential area.
The third variation is also quite similar to the first variation. However, there are some changes in terms of area and spacing of the different amenities of the community. There are more open green spaces allotted in the variation and smaller recreational areas. There is again a big portion for academic plazas. However, in this variation, the plaza is closer to CP Garcia and faces UP with a commercial area in between the two academic plazas.
There will be an open space separating the commercial and engineering academic plaza to serve as a transition space. The medical centers and fire stations are situated in the middle to be generally equal proximity for all areas. To sum up all three programs, all of them are focused on academic purposes and housing because this is what we want to prioritize with the learning industry. These areas will also have the densest population percentage based on our 2050 projection of the demographics. If needed, the open spaces can serve as expansion for future use.
This is the first step towards the actualization of our vision for the site and the community. Education, opportunity, exposure, and connectivity. These will be the foundations that our development will be built upon as we further our journey into a new urban community.